I'm Doth Savick, and this is my review for the DD Commander bag. I paid full retail price for this bag, that's $124.99, and this bag weighs in at 2.04 kilos. That makes it just a bit heavier than the Grip AX4 and the Pound Octo Haul, and just a bit lighter than the DD Combat Ranger and the Prodigy BP1 V3. The main difference that this bag has over those four others that I mentioned in this weight class is that all four of those have a little bit more storage, non-disc storage, and this does have a little bit cleaner, more open access to the main disc storage. Before we get into all the details of this bag, I'm excited to be able to say four words that I've wanted to for a really long time. Let's roll the intro. If that doesn't get you psyched to buy this bag, I don't know what will. Seriously though, my favorite thing about this bag, as I said, is the main disc storage. It's just so easy to see all of your discs that are there. You know, maybe if you're not particularly careful of keeping all of your discs in order and putting them back in that order when you use a disc, this makes it really easy to see where your disc is and select it quickly. You know, some other bags, discs are kind of hiding on the sides and you might have to pull back or, you know, bend down low to look inside that main compartment, and you can just see everything so easily. That's my favorite thing. My major gripe I've got on this bag is the direction of the zippers on the side storage pockets. You know, when it's closed, they're pulled all the way down, and then you've got to pull them up to get access into the pocket. That's the same criticism that I made on the DD Commander cooler, the cooler version of this bag. The zippers are the same on that one. And I was a little bit surprised to see some of the comments I got on that. Clearly, you know, maybe I'm an outlier in complaining about the direction of these zippers, but it really does bug me. I thought of an analogy I'll share. Let's say somebody's editing videos at 2 o'clock in the morning and craving candy, has a moment of weakness, and orders a huge bulk package of Skittles. Inevitably realizing that that's way too many Skittles to ever eat, so the disc golfer decides that I'll bring a bunch of Skittles out on the course and share them with my friends. So you fill up the side pocket with Skittles to share with your friends, but then when you open it to share the Skittles, they all just start falling out the front because you have to pull the zipper from the bottom up, which is backwards. Like if this goes the other way, you can grab the zipper at the top and pull it down and then open it from the top and reach in and grab a handful of Skittles. I hope that makes more sense. It's not the end of the world, clearly, but it would be a very nice touch if DD would reverse that. I'll show you what I've got in here. On this side, I've got a 12-ounce can sitting up there at the top. You'll see that these pockets do a little bit of weird shape, as you can see them pinching in there. There's not a stiffener in the wall, but this little bead that runs down the side, there's a little, I'm gonna say it's a piece of little plastic, or it's probably not metal, but that's kind of the feel it has, is a little stiff wire, and that is what makes these zippers do some weird curls on occasion. That can make the zippers a little bit harder to pull, make you use your second hand to kind of pinch them together so that the zipper lines up. Underneath, below where I had that can of water, I've got a water bowl for my dog. I got a towel. And then all the new stuff for this year, hand sanitizer, sunblock in there, and that's it. There is room for more. Even though I said that the other bags in the weight class have more storage than this isn't a slouch. In fact, it carries more than you might think. You know, looking at pictures of this online, it looks like a really narrow side pocket, but it is deep enough that it will bow out, and you can fit quite a bit. Like if we'll do a can test here and see. There's five cans, and that will be a little bit tight for me to close, but I could fit even a little bit more stuff in there. So just to give you an idea of how much that does bow out, if you want to try to kind of get max capacity there. And then on the smaller pocket on the outside, I've got this one just stuffed. I've got my keys in there, wallet, I've got a Sharpie, my little bag with all my cash and bag tags, extra dog poop bags, more dog poop bags. And then we've also got a water bottle holder on that side. There is no grommet or drain hole on the bottom of that bottle holder, but we do have a nice tight firm elastic closure on the top that's pulling just enough to keep a Nalgene in there pretty snug. You know, some people have bottles fall out when they're bending over to pick up their putter or disc or whatever, and this is one that's going to give you a little bit of leeway there. That's just snug enough it'll hang on to the Nalgene for a little bit longer than others might if they're super loose. 12-ounce can does disappear in there a little bit. You know, that's one you might want to drop a hockey puck under. Or I got another tip. Somebody left a comment and said, hey, drop a tape measure down there, a Fat Max, and tape measure works great to poke up into trees and knock disc out. I thought that was a great idea. Haven't experimented with that myself, but moving on to the other side of the bag. On this side, on this side of the bag, I've got a lightweight jacket jammed in there, and there's room for more. It's definitely not a super big profile. Full size hoodie is maybe going to be a little tight to get a like large or extra large thick hoodie in there might be tight, but you can see I had to fight that zipper a little bit, and a lot of that's because of that kind of stiffener piece they put on there. I don't have anything in this side for the small pocket. This is a spot that you can stack an extra 12-ounce. A lot of bags, if I have, maybe I'm carrying my dog leash jammed in one of these main bottle holders, and then I've got water for my dog in the other. And, I've got an open 12-ounce can. A lot of times on a side pocket that I'd zip down from the top and make a little spot right there. I could set my can when I'm putting or teeing off. You can use this pocket for that if you wanted. A 12-ounce can does fit fine in there. It'll hold it for you. You know, you wouldn't want to carry an open can in there, probably. It's gonna spill, but if you're just trying to set the can down safely somewhere it won't tip over while you're teeing off or putting, perfect use for that. I mentioned my dog leash. On this bag, where that lives is right here. I'll go ahead and, you know, wrap the leash up and stick it in there if I have my dog off leash. I really like this style of clasp for a strap here. You know, this can double as an umbrella, a holder, or for a stool if you're willing to use either the bottle holder or this pocket here to set the base of your stool or umbrella in. You could even bundle a little, you know, an extra layer, a shirt or jacket right there and clip it in. I really like that you can set, you know, for whatever you put in there, you can set the tension, and then when you want to take your thing out, you just unclip it. Like, I've used this for when I'm out filming a couple of times, and I've got a monopod that I'll stack in there, and instead of having to like use a buckle and like figure out how to get that loose and then hold it out so that I can slide my monopod out of it, all I gotta do is reach down and just hit that buckle, and then I'm moving right away. It's so much faster to work with that. Using an umbrella when it's open, again, is something that I would utilize this zipper for if the zipper was pulling the other direction. You know, I could unzip it from the top, jam my umbrella all the way down, and then zip back up to help hold that umbrella in place a little bit. This is a pretty low connector or holder point. You know, if you've got the umbrella down that far and then it's only being stabilized here, you're going to have a lot of movement with it rocking back and forth. So another thing potentially you could use that side pocket for if DD ever switches that zipper direction. I really like this spot for my phone. It's one of the best like dedicated spots. You know, my phone sticks up high enough that I can easily grab it. This is also tight enough that like my phone's not just going to fly out of there somehow. It holds it really well. And then just a perfect spot, perfect height for a little pencil to be held there. One of the differences between this version of the bag and the Commander Cooler is this back section right here. Both of the bags have a mini holder, elastic top. I've got a smaller size mini in there right now, but you could fit a much larger mini if you wanted. There's plenty of room for it. On this version, there is then two pockets to put discs in, different than the Cooler, which has a third sleeve. The same design for the bottom point of those pockets is used here as on the Cooler version, even though our top points are separated to keep the discs divided. Both of those discs are fighting to get into the same bottom point. This one doesn't want to particularly go down because it's hitting the inner lower lip of this disc. But if I get this disc out of the way, then that one does seat down into the bottom. And this one will try to get into the same spot. And you can see now it's harder for me to get that in there. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. You know, it's best if this one doesn't get pushed down all of the way, and then that leaves a little bit more room to get this one for that lip to tuck underneath it. That's something you'll figure out as you're using it. That overlap isn't as big of a deal if you put drivers in there instead of putters. But I definitely just like having the putters with that extra easy access instead of having to come in here to grab a putter. And I've played a little bit with, flipping these around the other direction so that the lip isn't overlapping quite as bad down there. And I don't know, I kind of have mixed feelings about that. I think maybe it's just aesthetics. I think it looks nicer when the putters are stacked in like this. You do have room, if you wanted to stack more in there, but then your overlap issues become even more pronounced, and to pull like just this disc out is going to pull the one above it, and to pull this I'm fighting with the one behind it. So a few different things to consider. you definitely have options when you're getting used to using that upper putter sleeve. Another thing that these are kind of or have overlap in the use of space near the bottom where those discs are trying to seat is how I have this top flap. I've got it rolled and tucked, which is one of the more common ways to store it. I think DD designed it specifically so that it can be tucked like that. And if I tip the bag forward a little bit, you'll see that this is bowing out in the middle, which does make it a little bit harder for me to pull the center discs out. They're going to hit this more than the ones on the side. What's really pushing this out is the bottom edge of those discs. Now, this is not how I like to use this bag. I prefer to take that flap and tuck it down in the back. The reason that I don't have it tucked down right now is because I have the divider in place. This is a Velcro in divider, and where it sticks to the back wall and the front, there's a vertical piece of Velcro that accepts it. As you can see there's the piece of Velcro that sticks to. Now, that does mean that you don't have a whole lot of opportunity to, choose where that divider is going to sit. You're either putting it in right in the middle or not at all. It is super low profile. It's very thin. I pretty much always just remove dividers when they come with the bag. This one I pretty much didn't notice at all, it being in there, and I didn't mind it as far as feeling like it was losing me space and how I stack the discs. But I do remove it for this reason, so that I can take and unroll this back piece, which does zip all the way closed if you're, hitting a little bit of rain or something like that and you want to help keep the main disc section dry. That's perfect. If you're playing, hiking through a bunch of tall pine trees and needles are dropping all over the place and you don't want that sort of debris to get in your bag, then you can leave it just like this and, just lift it whenever you want to pull discs out and put discs back in and just kind of let that flap hang. That works fine as well. I really like to take this and tuck it all the way down into the back. And that removes a good chunk of that stuff that was hanging out and making it a little bit harder to pull my discs in and out. I think that aesthetically it's more pleasing. I get to see more color of the bag back there and just don't have this big bundle poking out. The only potential disadvantage to tucking the flap in that direction is that you have covered the Velcro in the back and thus, kind of rendered that divider useless. You can have it still attached to the front, but it's just kind of weird. You're better off, if you want to run the flap this way, you're just going to have to pull that divider out completely. I have 20 discs in here right now. I've got 8 putters and mids, including the 2 up here, and then I've got 12 drivers across. That's more discs than I've been carrying in this bag, but I wanted to just load it up maximum to kind of show you its capacity. That's tighter than I like. I don't want to have to work, that hard to get those discs in and out of the main compartment. So I'm going to pull at least one disc out if I were using, for my normal sort of load. You can put, I forget if I load, yeah, there's a couple cans in there. These side pockets are wide enough that you can fit two mids, or like these are Craves. I'm gonna put 3 fairway drivers in there. You can see that's snug, but they will fit in there. Like if you really wanted, crazy max capacity or carry a few extra discs, you can do that. A couple mids or a few drivers. The bottom of this bag has 5 kind of half dome plastic feet down there. There is a board across the bottom to stiffen the bag up. We've also got stiff panel in the front. On the inner side of these walls, there is a stiff panel. Again, we're soft here. Moving around to the back of the bag and the straps, we've got just kind of the simple grab handle there that does, when you're picking it up, that does pull on the backpack straps. Notably, there's no sternum strap. That didn't catch my attention right away. I don't use sternum straps super often. You know, if you want it, they are nice, but they don't exist on this bag. The straps are, I'm going to say medium to light as far as how thick the padding is, but the density on it is nice, at least new. I don't know how much this is going to break down over time. Of course, that's something I'm not great at, is being able to give you guys advice on bags, how they break in over a year or 2 or 3, because I'm swapping them out too often doing these reviews. So you'll have to look elsewhere if you want to know how you know, fabrics and stuff like that really wear in. Notably, these straps are set very wide apart. That's pretty unique to this bag. I'm not sure I've tried another one that had that feel. I actually really enjoyed it. It sits pretty wide on my shoulders, and thus it's kind of pulls my shoulders back. And I feel like that kind of, whether it's physically or psychologically, but it makes me pull into better posture when I'm carrying this bag. And that may be part of why I think it is very comfortable. Just based on like the criteria, if I wrote them down, I wouldn't think this is a particularly comfortable bag. It's not like the stiffest back, but there is a panel in there, and you get quite a bit of rigidity, having panels at 90 degrees as well. So it's not like the Prodigy BP1, for example, that just kind of wraps around you, or an Octohaul for that matter. It is a much stiffer back. But I do find it comfortable. It doesn't feel like a super heavy bag when I have it loaded down. And there's not a whole bunch of ergonomic design to the back like we get with the Combat Ranger. You can tell a whole lot more thought was put into the Combat Ranger as far as the padding on the back, at least the new version. We do have a couple of different materials used on the back. I don't know if that's going to show up. There we go. We got some reflection. This is a very open weave fabric here, same as you get on the inside of the backpack straps. Fairly breathable, not a whole bunch of like airways carved or anything like that to help with airflow, but this is a very soft, breathable fabric. And then on the bottom here, we've got a heavier weave. It's similar to the fabric that you get on the rest of the bag, and you get a little bit thicker padding down there. You can see that that back sticks out just a little bit. It's catching a little light reflection there. That does help the bag not feel like a stiff bar right there pushing against your lumbar or lower back. You know, there is stiff panel down here, but the extra padding that they've put and sat down super low really helps it feel comfortable. There are a few different spots to kind of hang stuff on this bag. Certainly you've got the disconnect here that you could hang stuff off of if you'd like. They've also sewn a small nylon loop down here, and then a little webbing loop up on this corner as well if you wanted to, you know, hang some bag tags or stuff like that. Overall, for the price, I think you get quite a bit with this bag. More than I thought, just from looking at pictures. Definitely with how much extra stuff you can fit in the sides, even though it's not as much as some of the competitors in the same weight range, it can carry everything you need for sure, and it's decently comfortable. So I think that overall DD did a great job with this bag. It is not one that's stuck in my memory when, you know, I'm talking to people online. People send me messages quite often, say, hey, I'm looking at a few different bags. Do you have any other, you know, comments on these or recommendation for another one? the Commander just never comes up in my mind as something to recommend. And as silly as it might be, it's really because of those zippers. So maybe I need to try to remember that this isn't going to bug other people as much as it bugs me, at least potentially. But I really hope that DD does swap that. It would make this bag so much easier for me to recommend to other people. That's going to be it for my review today. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on whether you liked the review or not. I suppose if you made it this far, you're probably going to give the thumbs up. If you disliked it, you would have tuned out a while ago. If you'd like to help me produce more content like this, please subscribe or consider clicking that join button for YouTube under the video, or look in the description for my link to Patreon. Either of those help me a ton. I'm looking forward to churning out a whole lot more content soon. We'll see you in the next one.